त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् अनुन्दनं दुं दुं दत्तानं ददानं दुं ददानं 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 ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात्
संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवतु भवानी सहितं नमामि। गजाननं भूतगणाधिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलचारुभक्षणम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकम् नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम् दुर्गे स्मृता मनसि भीतिमशेषजम् स्वस्यै स्मृता मतिमतीव शुभां ददासि दारिद्र्यदुःखभयहारिणि त्वदन्य सर्वोपकारकरणाय सदा प्रचित्ता श्यामलकोमलाङ्गं सीतासमारोपितवामभागं मानवमहासायकचारुचापं नमामि रामं रघुवंशनाथम् वंशीविभूषितकरान्नवनीरदाः पीताम्बरागरुडबिम्बफलाधरोष्ठान् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखादरविन्दनेत्र कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव आनन्दमानकन्दकरं प्रसन्नं ज्ञानस्वरूपं निजबोधरूपं योगीन्द्रमीड्यं भवलोकवैद्यं श्रीमद्गुरुं नित्यमहं नमामि गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ज्ञानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरोः पदम् मन्त्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरोः कृपा ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। विश्वानि देव सवितर्दुरितानि परासुव यद्भद्रं तन्न आसुव। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। कल्याणानां निधानम् कलिमलमथनं पावनं पावनानां पापेयं यन्मुमुक्षुः सपदि परपदप्राप्तये प्रस्तुतस्य विश्रामस्थानमेकम् कविवरवचसां जीवनं सज्जनानाम् बीजं धर्मध्रुवस्य प्रभवतु भवतां भूतये राम नाम। यस्यां तेज विभाति भूतरसुता देवापगामस्तके भाले भागविदुर्गले च गरलं यस्योरसि व्यालरा सोऽयं भूतिविभूषणः सुरवर सर्वाधिपः सर्वदा सर्वः सर्वगतः शिवः शशिनिभ श्रीशङ्करः पातु माम्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुण्डं हरते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। नमो ब्रह्मण्यदेवाय गोब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शुद्ध निर्मल मेरी आत्मा को कर्म में मिलेगी क्या सायं बताना। ये पिता पर सायं निराता जगत पिता बुद्धि प्रदाता। जय जय पिता पर सायं निराता जगत पिता बुद्धि प्रदाता। जाएगा तुझे रोना नहीं होगा भरोसा कर तू ईश्वर पर तुझे रोना नहीं होगा ये जीवन की जाएगा तुझे रोना नहीं होगा कभी सुख है कभी दुख है कभी सुख है कभी दुख है ये जीवन रूप में छाया है ये जीवन रूप में छाया है उसी में ही बिताना बिताना ये माया है भरोसा कर तो ईश्वर पर तुझे धोखा नहीं होगा ये जीवन भी जाएगा तुझे रोना नहीं होगा जो सुख आवे तो हंस लेना जो सुख आवे तो हंस लेना जो दुख आवे तुझे लेना जो दुख आवे तुझे लेना लगे ना तुझे कभी जग से प्रभु से ही तुझे लेना भरोसा कर तो ईश्वर पर तुझे धोखा नहीं होगा ये जीवन भी जाएगा तुझे रोना नहीं होगा ये कुछ भी तो नहीं जग में ये कुछ भी तो नहीं जग में तेरे बसे कर्म की माया तेरे बसे कर्म की माया तू कुछ ही दूर मेरे जा लगे निज रूप की काया भरोसा कर तू ईश्वर पर तुझे धोखा नहीं होगा ये जीवन भी जाएगा तुझे रोना नहीं होगा कहाँ ये नाम कहाँ टूटा कहाँ ये नाम कहाँ टूटा कभी तो सोचे ये बंदे कभी तो सोचे ये बंदे झुका कर शीश को कह दे प्रभु बंदे प्रभु बंदे भरोसा कर तो ईश्वर पर तुझे धोखा नहीं होगा ये जीवन भी जाएगा तुझे रोना नहीं होगा भरोसा कर तो तुझे धोखा नहीं होगा, ये जीवन बीत जाएगा, तुझे रोना नहीं होगा। प्रभु की आहुति यही समय ये प्यारे शरण प्रभु की आहुति यही समय ये प्यारे जग का भव्य और श्रुति को त्यागो जग का भव्य और श्रुति को त्यागो सत्य मुझे प्रभु यही समय ये प्यारे शरण प्रभु की आहुति यही समय ये प्यारे अमृत रस को भग करो इस अमृत रस को उत्तम पदवी पाओगे यही समय ये प्यारे शरण प्रभु की आहुति यही समय ये प्यारे हरि की भक्ति नहीं होती हरि की भक्ति नहीं होती विश्वास जमा पूरी यही समय ये प्यारे प्रभु की आहुति यही समय ये प्यारे अमोल के मेरा मनुष्य जन अमोल के मेरा इधर से तो करवाओगे यही समय ये प्यारे शरण प्रभु की आहुति यही समय ये प्यारे हरि सुमिरन हरि सुमिरन को नाम पछताओगे यही समय ये प्यारे शरण प्रभु की आहुति में प्यारे सबको जो पाए दया में सबको जो पाए उसको बिसरा बोले जिसमें है प्यारे चल प्रभु की बोले जिसमें है प्यारे सब इधर खुशी से टूटे पड़े सब इधर खुशी से ईश्वर के बोले सभी है प्यारे चल प्रभु की बोले सभी है प्यारे चल प्रभु की बोले सभी है प्यारे प्रभु की बोले सभी है प्यारे जाके मुसाफिर भोर भई अकेले कहाँ जो सोवते उठ जाके मुसाफिर भोर भई अकेले कहाँ जो सोवते जो जागते सो पावते जो सोवते सो खोवते जागे मुसाफिर भोर गई अकेले कहाँ जो सोवते नींद से अखियाँ खोल जाए और अपने प्रभु से ज्ञान लगा नींद से अखियाँ खोल जरा और अपने प्रभु से ज्ञान लगा प्रीत करने की प्रीत नहीं प्रभु जागते सोवते जागे मुसाफिर भोर भई अकेले कहाँ जो सोवते करना है आज कर ले जो आज करना है अब कर ले जो करना है आज कर ले जो आज करना है अब कर ले नालाल भुगत करनी अपनी तेरे पापी पाप में झेल कहा नालाल भुगत करनी अपनी तेरे पापी पाप में झेल कहा जब पाप की गतरी शीस तेरी फिर शीस पकड़ बंदे उठ जाके मुसाफिर भोर भई अकेले कहाँ जो सोवते उठ जाके मुसाफिर भोर भई अकेले कहाँ जो सोवते जो जागते हैं सो पावते हैं जो सोवते हैं सो खोवते हैं उठ जागे मुसाफिर भोर भई अकेले कहाँ जो सोवते हैं पूजनीय प्रभु हमारे आप उज्ज्वल कीजिए छोड़ देने चल कपट को मानसिक बल दीजिए वेद की बोल विचारे सत्य को आनंद करे नाश में हो मार्ग सारे योग साधन से करे अश्वमेधा विग्रह रचाए यश
and kind greetings. With due respect to all, let us retain the dignity of this funeral service by observing all protocol observed. Ladies, gentlemen, and our dear children, it is with sadness but gratitude for a long, independent life that today we celebrate and bid farewell to Mr. Ishwarpal Maikoo. We often say that the hour of death cannot be forecast. However, it is the only reality in our lives. As some already know, my uncle, Boise Kaka, fondly known by family members, had some health challenges in recent times. He succumbed gracefully to these health challenges on Saturday, the 22nd of July, and he is now eternally at peace with himself and now resides in peace with our Maker, Almighty God. Despite us knowing the life cycle of existence, where birth and death exist, his passing away has affected the emotional lives of many a family, friend, community, and the greater Petermaritzburg society. We know that words are inadequate to alleviate the pain and sorrow all are experiencing at this time. On behalf of us all, we extend our sincere condolences to the Maikoo extended family, namely brothers, our two centenarians, Mr. Chandrapal Maikoo, my dad, Mr. Haripal Maikoo, children, Vinesh, Raj, and Nilendra, their supportive spouses and grandchildren. May we find solace in the relationships we share with Boise Kaka. We say that children are the rainbows of their parents, but grandchildren are the pots of gold for their grandparents. This was indeed the case with Ishwar Maikoo. His grandchildren will now pay homage to their handsome and strong icon. The testimony of that special bond will now be shared by granddaughter Yashna, his pride and joy.
To my dearest Arya, I know you are not one for sentiments and words of love, so I hope that today you will make an exception for me. You were always so loving and gentle with me. I know that when I was a baby, I didn't quite like you very much, because I'd always cry when I heard your loud voice. But as I grew older, I grew fond of it, and I found out that sometimes the loudest of voices belong to the most caring people. You always showed your love for me by doing the little things, from videotaping my favorite kids' TV shows and watching them with me when I stayed over, to spoiling me with KFC and other goodies when you pick me up from school, and making sure to buy blueberries when you go food shopping because you knew it was my favorite. Aja, you will be grateful next. I miss reading your name when you phone me, and when I answer, you say, Yash, what you doing? Sleeping? I'm so happy that I had that moment with you in hospital when where you couldn't speak, but you reached out your hand for me, and I held it. Thank you for being the most wonderful grandfather to me. My heart will always have a special place for you. Lots of love from your puppy.
Thank you, Yashna, for sharing your special moments and memories of Granddad with us. Mishal, the like Granddad, Boisikaka is an educator by profession. He too, like his gramps, have contributed to nation building via our education system. Mishal will now share his memoirs with us.
It takes different amounts of time to understand people. I know it did for me with Aja. Once thinking that he was very strict, to later realizing how caring he truly was to all of us. People change over time, and I am glad that we got the best of Aja. My name is Vishal, Aja's grandchild, and he was proud of his grandchildren, often introducing us to people which we and we often hear, are you the child or the grandchild? And I had to remind people that besides his vigor, he is indeed my grandfather. And no, I did not drive him there. He drove himself, and we were simply invited to meet him. Many people commented on how independent Aja was despite his age. I thought this was normal. What else do we do? It was only when people pointed it out that I realized how incredible it was. He did not like to worry anyone. Even when Mama passed, he never asked anyone for anything. Instead, he showed us how well he could cook. It was a surprise when Aja started sending his fish curry and his madumbi curry, phoning me and excitedly saying that he wants me to try it, then phoning after to find out how it was, and getting so excited to hear how tasty his food was. Let a new food place open in Pietermaritzburg, and Aja was one of the first customers. But he never just bought for himself. He always went up to the owners and said he was placing two orders, one for him and one for his grandkids. Aja had a way of showing his care that was very different from everyone else. It came from quick little gestures that had big meaning. Things like slipping a sweet to me when I was a child watching TV at his house, before my grandmother could see. Behind the sometimes stern exterior, he cared deeply about those around him. If there's one thing that I learned from Aja, it's that it's never too late to change, be it something small or something major. It's also that it's never too late to do the things you want to do. Aja lived his life to the fullest, did the things he wanted to, and saw the places that he wanted to see. He once mentioned aquariums and how he made sure that he visited an aquarium in every country that he went to. When I was little, he fascinated me with his trip to Egypt, bringing us little gifts and sharing all the stories with us. He even purchased a monthly magazine series on Egypt, would read it cover to cover, then give it to me to keep and tell me which pages to read as they were the most fascinating. Aja loved sharing his exciting stories. I would often get calls where Aja would tell me to read a specific page in the newspaper or watch a historical documentary on SABC2 at 7 p.m. on Friday and tell the rest of the family to watch it as well because it was so informative. But my favorite calls were the ones when Aja would just call to talk, just to say hi and ask how work is going and whether I ate the tasty apple that he dropped off at home earlier that day. Aja always ensured that he spoilt us well into our adult years, making a trip to the shop every Sunday morning and bringing the freshest bread rolls and tastiest fruit bars. Once, last year, I told Aja not to worry about his Sunday deliveries. I can get things from the shop if he needs it. Hmm. To which I received, why y'all don't appreciate the stuff I buy? I buy the best for y'all. That was no lie. Aja ensured that the people close to him got the best, be it the sweet sea clemgons, up-to-date potatoes, or the many different types of fish that you would not often get. He ensured that he got it for us. The sardines barely had a chance to swim to the shore before Aja ensured that he got his fair share for everyone. Even COVID lockdown did not stop Aja. The moment work ended, I would get a call from Aja telling me to pick up the two crunchy apples or the sweet pineapple that he bought. And I would think, now I have to go there just for two apples? But it was never just about the apples. It was about the care that Aja got to show to those around him, the connections that he fostered, and the happiness he got from making the next person happy. The apples were everyone seated here today that played a part in Arja's life and was impacted on by him. The more people he saw, the sweeter and crunchier the apples were, and Arja took a big bite from that apple, making sure that he left a positive mark on all of us. This morning, I didn't get to hear those three car hoots outside the house, with Arja waiting for us to come to the car hoot, scolding us for taking too long, then showing us all the goodies that he bought. Oh, what I wouldn't give to get that call again or hear those three boisterous car hoots outside the house, followed by, Vishal, I got two lovely red apples. They're so crunchy and sweet. You have to try it. Rest well, Aja. Your cup is full. You will be greatly missed.
Thank you, Michelle, for sharing your thoughts and experiences with Aja. Uh, I think all of us that are seated here know the role that Oisikaka played and the love that he had for his grandchildren. The eldest grandchild, Ashin, who shared many a special time and bond with his granddad, will now share his memories of Boisika.
Thank you all for coming today. I'd like to share a few words about my grandfather, whom I knew as Aja. Aja has always played a major role in my life. I'm told that he taught me my first word when I was a baby. He used to carry me around the garden and point out various objects after him. On one occasion, I pointed out an ant and I repeated the word. So my first word was ant. He taught to me by Aja. But the education didn't stop there. He advised me his whole life on matters concerning education, finances, life, and especially sports. A keen sportsman himself, he always supported my sporting aspirations. From taking me to buy my first set of sporting equipment to giving me advice on strategies how to play cricket, soccer. There was one occasion where he took me into a sporting goods store to buy my first cricket bat. He walked into the store and walked straight towards a bat, a Brian Lara bat. And he told me, this is the good bat, but you need to knock it in. And he taught me how to knock a bat in. Needless to say, I hit many sixes with that bat. Archer always wanted to know about my travels. As Michelle said, he always spoke about his trip to Egypt. And he was overjoyed when he heard that I was going to Egypt last year. Before I left, he gave me two bits of advice. He said, always eat cooked food and always drink bottled water. This was the one occasion where I didn't listen to Aja and I drank tea that was made with water from the Nile. That evening, I contracted what he called Jippo guts, which is traveler's diarrhea for those who don't know. He had a good laugh when I told him that story. I last saw Aja at the end of June, about a month ago. On that occasion, I visited him just before I traveled back to Joburg. Usually, when I come down to Pietermaritzburg, he asks me what would I like. It's usually fish or crabs. Like this occasion, I told him that we should try to get me some sardines. He told me that he hadn't seen any sardines around, but on the day I went to visit him, there was a tray of sardines waiting on the table. And he told me that it may seem like a small thing to him, to me, but it meant a lot to him that he was able to get himself in. So we sat outside, had a long conversation. Sorry. We sat outside and had a long conversation about my job, his health, and he knew that his time was almost up. And before I left, he told me that I should call him because he feels lonely. And he was going to the casino just to talk to people. So I told him I definitely call him. A few days later, I tried to call him. I couldn't get hold of him. I tried again. I still couldn't get hold of him. Eventually, I called my mother, and she said that Audrey was in the hospital. What I wanted to tell him was that I really enjoyed the sardines that he cooked because I knew he would have appreciated it. It was something I never got to tell him because it was the last time I spoke to him. And I emptied out the last time I spoke to him. He seemed to be in a good state. And I was able to have a good conversation. And so I always remembered for the advice he gave me and for his kind nature. The person I am is due largely from Audrey. Rest well, Audrey. You've lived a good life.
Thank you, Asheen, for sharing your good memories with Aja. From the heartfelt words of the grandchildren, as they said their final goodbyes to Aja and also Bad Aja, we can see that his legacy of love and beautiful nature will forever remain an inspiration to him and for generations to come. Boise Kaka enjoyed and maintained a cordial relationship with all us nieces and nephews. Rupa, who has been a friend, a neighbor, as well as niece, will now share her thoughts and experiences with Boise Kaka. We do have an international family. People are watching this service from far and wide. Rupa will also convey their special messages as they filter in. We thank you for your patience and for your attentive ear.
Namaste to family and friends. We are all gathered here today to bid farewell to a family stalwart, Mr. Ishwarpal, Maikoo, fondly known as Veena has mentioned, Boise Kaka. You've heard from his three grandchildren, and whatever they've said is an absolutely true reflection of Boise Kaka. Many of you will know that Boise Kaka was one of 15 children. Today, he is the 11th member that we say goodbye to. Growing up with so many siblings must have been quite happy, but also quite challenging in the family when times were tough financially. Boise Kaka was an excellent student. Right, he started his primary schooling in St. Paul's School, went on to Woodland Secondary School, where he excelled, He represented his school at athletics, cricket, and debates. At Woodland School, he also was head prefect, which was quite an honor. After he finished school, unfortunately, the family was not in a financial situation to send him to medical school, which he would have really done well at. Nevertheless, he studied teaching, and his first position as a teacher was at his primary school, St. Paul's School. Thereafter, he went to Woodland Secondary School, his second alma mater. But he spent time in many, many schools, traveled to escort, and finally left teaching when he was principal of Suncrest Primary School. Over the years, he was with many, many colleagues. They all held him in very high esteem. They were very grateful for his mentoring to them. And when he was principal, he also had a wonderful relationship with all the members of staff. He was strict, as the boys and girl would have told you, but he also had a very, very fun, jovial side to him. As a representative of all the nieces and nephews, I can tell you that I think every one of us will have a story or two to tell you about Bosikaka. We've been neighbors for 50 some odd years, and whenever we passed by his house, we would, on a nice summery day, we'd be sitting in his front veranda, and we have had many a conversation on that bench. In fact, I remember I may have been about 9 or 10 when he bought that bench that I'm sure all of you know you have lots and lots of conversations with. I remember him painting it. So that bench is more than a bench. It's where he spent time with many of us. As he became, older and frailer, he enjoyed the sun, so he would be sitting in his back veranda. And Naresh and Shanti lived right behind him, and they also had many a conversation with him over the fence. Round the corner was my Pua, and they would also have many conversations. So Bosikaka has impacted our lives in many, many ways. If we did something that he was proud of, he would always, always acknowledge it. I remember when my sister Dhira wrote her what was then called her JC exam, and being in the teaching profession, he had contacts, and he managed to get her results before we could. And I remember him walking down our stairs and calling my sister, grabbing her up, turning her around, congratulating her because she had obtained what was called a merit pass. So he never failed to acknowledge our achievements. Mind you, if we did anything wrong, we didn't escape that bit of sharpness, which we appreciated. But when he was happy with you, you would hear the peals of laughter of all of us that were around him. And as he became older and frailer, and we couldn't see him in person, we always had our weekly or even more often chats. And as the boys would have told you, after my kaki passed away, he lived on his own for about 11 years. He drove himself until a month ago to wherever he wished to, did all his own shopping, all his own cooking. And many a time when I went to visit him, I would see him cleaning his vegetables. And I learned many tricks on how to do the chore in a better way, in a faster way, in a more efficient way. And he was really, really proud of all the lovely things he used to cook. So our conversations with him range from cooking, but what also was his passion was reading. And he looked forward, I think, on a Thursday morning in the Witness, they would have a page with the book reviews of the latest books that were around. And the moment he read it and something caught his eye, he would head down to the bookshop to buy a copy. And if there wasn't a copy there, then he would make sure he ordered it. And when we saw him, he would give us a rundown or give us a call and tell us about the books, exchange his books. And we always got the instruction, please do not dog ear my books, do not hold the spine, and he would give you a little bookmark with it. And when you finished it, you would give him back. So he was very straightforward, but he was the most loving person that we know. You know, whether you were a little child or an adult, he had something to offer to every single one of us. My nieces that also lived behind him remember him very, very fondly. And fortunately, one of my nieces managed to see him while he was in hospital, and at that time he was still in good spirits. And today they all are extremely sad and they have sent their messages. So Bosikaka was an inspiration to us. You know, when we feel frail and so on, I would always, he was the talk of the family. Bosikaka was 90 years old and he was still driving, he was still cooking, he was still doing everything to himself. In the last few weeks, as was mentioned, his health began to fail. He did talk to all of us. He did mention that he had a wonderful life and that he was ready to leave. He lived his life on his own terms, and I think he left his life on his terms where he was not reliant on anybody. So we really, really will miss him, but I think we will remember him very, very, very fondly. I have a few messages from cousins. I'm just going to mention all of them that sent messages and read one that just echoes the sentiments of all of them. Right? Veera, Anila, Ashi, Sanil, Cookie, Jeet, Shalendra, Prabha, Suresh, and my nieces Seema, Kirti, Ujala, and Ajvita have all sent messages. And this message just embodies what all of us thought of him. This is Shalane's words. He says, "Thank you for all that you did for us over the years. Your kindness, generosity, humility, and sense of humor will be fondly remembered. Go well and rest in peace." And I think these are words that every single one of my cousins will also reiterate. Then I have a message from Meera from Mauritius. She says, "Our deepest and sincere sympathy for Uncle of 90 years and who passed, we hold him in our prayers so that his soul will be in peace." Thank you very much for listening to me. And as I said, although we say goodbye to Boisikaka today, the memories we have of him will last forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupa, for sharing your association with Boisikaka. We can also say that the feeling that Rupa has expressed is mutual amongst our greater family. I will be failing in my duty if I did not acknowledge my late aunt, who we fondly referred to as Sarokaki. She also shared with Boisikaka in bringing up and supporting the greater Maikoo family. We thank her for this. We are awaiting a few messages. In the interim, our sound man will play the devotional music which brings us some solace in this sad time. We thank you once again. If there is anybody that would have not viewed the face, you could come during this time.
Swami Tumayantayami Hare Brahma Parameshwar Hare Brahma Parameshwar तुम सबके स्वामी ओम जय जगदीश हरे तुम करुणा के सागर तुम पालन करता स्वामी तुम पालन करता मेरे सेवक तुम स्वामी मेरे सेवक तुम स्वामी कृपा करो भरता ओम जय जगदीश हरे तुम हो एक अगोचर सबके प्राणपति स्वामी सबके प्राणपति जिस विध मिलो दया में जिस विध मिलो दया में मेरे सीनो सुमति ओम जय जगदीश हरे दीन बंधु दुख हरता तुम रक्षक मेरे स्वामी तुम रक्षक मेरे करुणा हस्त बढ़ाओ करुणा हस्त बढ़ाओ शरण पड़ा तेरे ओम जय जगदीश हरे विषय विकार मिटाओ पाप हरो देवा स्वामी पाप हरो देवा श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ संतन की सेवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे भक्त जनों के संकट भक्त जनों के संकट क्षण में दूर करे ओम जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे ओम जय जगदीश हरे तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यम् भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यम् भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्
Namaste and greetings once again. Let us remind ourselves of the protocol that we observe at this celebration of life. I've just received a message from Anila. Anila is the niece of Oisika from New Zealand, and she's asked me to read this special message. Oisi Mama, my visits to PMB will never be the same without you. I looked forward to sparring with you and waiting to see what was the next topic that you would challenge me on, making me think outside the box. I loved our chats about our heritage. You have over the years filled in many gaps and answered many questions that I asked you about our forefathers. I will miss your one-of-a-kind humor. I have to admit that sometimes it took me a moment to figure out whether you were joking or being serious, especially when you had that straight-faced one. I loved watching and learning from the bond that you shared with my mom. We love you, Boise Mama. You will be sadly missed. Rest well. Love from all at home. Thank you again for your attention. Boise has shared and maintained a cordial relationship with nieces, nephews, and greater family. Sorry, this is Koisikaka's son from New Zealand. I'm just going to switch this off and I will get back to you. As I was saying, Koisikaka enjoyed a very cordial relationship with his siblings and their spouses. It is never easy to come to terms with death. It is never easy to come to terms with death and to say farewell to those we love. However, we draw inspiration and consolation from these relationships that we shared with Koisikaka. He shared a special bond with all his brother-in-laws. This afternoon, Mr. Johnny Hadran, a son-in-law of the Maikoo family, will share and pay tribute to him.
Namaste. Good day, dear family and friends. Difficult, and I listen to the grandchildren and Rupa. We have a very comprehensive idea of the character of Boise. I'm his brother-in-law, and yet we shared moments that were so close. I think sometimes closer than some of your own siblings. We joked about so many things, and at times became angry about certain issues that's going on around us. However, I would like to rewind and also come fast forward to some of the things that I know about Boise. Ishwarpal Maikoo, or Boise as we knew him, was a genial and well-loved person for those people who knew him. Although stern in his outlooks, I think most of us saw him sometimes when we disturbed his sleep. He was seemed to be angry, but actually he meant well because he wanted to welcome you at the same time enjoy his sleep. He had a very successful career as an educator. He moved rapidly in the ranks as an educator. He served as a deputy principal in Pietermaritzburg and quickly became a principal. He was a principal in Escort, where he enjoyed his stint in the rural community. He then returned to Maritzburg as a principal in the Suncrest Primary School. He established himself as a well-loved person, and many of his colleagues who served under him had very kind regards for him as he inspired them to greater heights. He retired from the educational field from this school. Boise loved sports, especially cricket and soccer. His favorite sporting activity, however, was deep sea fishing. Boise was a connoisseur and an expert on various types of fish and seafood. Boise had strong ties with family. His respect and love for his siblings is well known, especially his two senior brothers, Chandrapal and Haripal Maikoo, who are 103 and 100 years respectively. Boise had a love for travel, having traveled to many parts of the globe. He visited India many years ago in search for his dad's village in a rural area of Lucknow and gave the family further leave to investigate their roots. Then he traveled to the Americas, South America and North America. And we have heard from his grandchildren how he enjoyed his stay in Egypt as well. His legacy has cascaded to the younger siblings who pursued the desire to investigate the roots in India. They were successful in their endeavors in this regard. Thanks to Ishwarpal Maikoo, who was an inspiration to their family. He will be sadly missed by his family, relatives, and friends. Thank you for your kind attention.
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं
Thank you. I do apologize for that interruption. We're trying to create a link for Raj from New Zealand. If it's going to be possible, but time permitting, I will be able to put him on. Thank you, Johnny Uncle, for taking us down memory lane and also for that inspirational and motivating speech. From what has been said by all our speakers of the day, we realize and we reflect that as time passes by and as people pass by, they have touched our lives in a way that makes us richer for it. Although Mr. Ishwarpal Maikoo belonged to the 1930 era, he had a very modern and open outlook in life, where he encouraged all like himself to strive for independence and to move on in life. He was always committed to all his ventures in sports, culture, education, socials, etc. From what has been said, we can see that Boise Kaka was devoted and committed to his career as an educationist. He was also a patriarch of the family and has been an inspiration to many. Many of us in the family and in the community saw him as a pillar of strength, guidance, and inspiration. He did take a special interest in all our lives and also inspired us to attain our goals. And at this point, we want to thank him for that inspiration and encouragement. Our priest will be joining us in a short while, but to him doing this, I just want to say to all those that are present today, those at home, also those who are far and wide and watching this funeral service, we want to thank you for the consolation and also your courage. We want to thank you for your contributions to this morning's event. We also want to thank all those for the comforting messages that have been sent through or who have helped us in some way or the other. To all those who have stood by during our bereavement, we express our sincere thanks. We also would like to thank the staff of Mediclinic who provided comfort to Boise Kaka during his last few remaining hours. I want to thank you and God bless. I may be interrupting as the program carries on. Whilst we wait for the pundit, our sound guy will continue to play us the music, which will provide us with some inspiration. Namaste.
भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ प्रचोदयात् ॐ
Namaste and thanks greetings once again. As is customary in our tradition, the final rites will now be performed by our revered Pandit, Pandit Kiran Satpur. I'm now going to hand you into the hands of Pandit Kiran Satpur.
My prem namaste to one and all of you, dear brothers and sisters. You have heard wonderful eulogies that have been passed. I know the Maikoo family growing up in the shadow, interaction with Dinesh when he was in Grace of High School, but more so with our dear Bhaiji that lies here in state was because of my parents who were also educated, and they spent a lot of time and they had that interaction with each other whilst in the educational fraternity. My mum, who was just here now, is 87 years old. She's 87 years old, and when I told her 2 days ago that this is the situation, she was actually quite shocked because they used to also interact at different levels at the teachers' meetings, the retired teachers' meetings. They used to meet when they were well and able. And she said, well, she also reflected on our dear dad's wonderful wife, who also they had a beautiful relationship those days. Dear friends, when we meet at times like this, it is very emotional, it's painful because we have to bid farewell to a dear person, especially somebody that you look up to in terms of a father figure or a mother. It's a vacuum that is created when they move on. Sometimes as we go through life, we feel that they will be here forever. However, when the Almighty makes His decision, they are plucked from our midst. And so we have a dilemma at times when we need to deal with death and when we have to deal with somebody loving and dear that has passed on. And in like manner, we always refer to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, which has a beautiful discourse that takes place between the Lord and a disciple or a devotee who is in a state of trouble, who cannot face the dilemma of fighting with his kith and kin, and also the fact that somebody is going to lose their life. I would just like to share, before I came through, I was just going through the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, and I said that I would like to share this with the family and friends that are here. It says that in chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, Sankhya Yoga, Lord Krishna imparts profound spiritual wisdom to Arjuna, addressing the eternal nature of the soul or the Atman and the perishable nature of the physical body. So the central theme of this chapter revolves around the dilemma that Arjuna faces. And this moral dilemma is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The book, the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata, talks of a battlefield called Kurukshetra. If we just have to step back and see that we are also in a battlefield, and that present battlefield is our life on this earth and all the challenges that we have to face. And so, when Arjuna is torn between his duty as a warrior or a Kshatriya, as we say, and the aversion to fighting against his own kith and kin, his relatives, his teachers, and his friends. So, to enlighten and guide Arjuna, Lord Krishna begins his teachings with the concept of the eternal nature of the soul. And he says in the first point, he says to Arjuna, the immortality of the soul, that the soul is eternal and indestructible. It is neither born nor does it die. It undergoes neither growth or decay. The soul is beyond the physical body, mind, intellect, and ego. It is the unchanging essence within every living being. The second point that he shared with him was the impermanence of the physical body. The physical body is mortal and perishable. We all experience that. When we were young, we could do things with our physical body that was impossible. Today, as you get older and you get aged, you find it so difficult to even bend, to even tie your shoelace. And that is what we talk about, the impermanence of the physical body. It is composed of the 5 elements, and that is the earth, the water, the fire, the air, and the ether. And just as a person discards old clothes and wears new ones, the soul leaves one body upon death and acquires a new one in the cycle of birth and death. And we call this reincarnation. The third point that he said to Arjuna was that you need to continue with your duty, but also detachment. He advised Arjuna to perform his duty, his dharmic duty, as a warrior without attachment to the results. And this is called Nishkama Karma. He encourages Arjuna to rise above emotional attachments and aversion, understanding that the soul is beyond birth and death and is unaffected by the outcome of your actions. And the fourth point, he says, look at the concept of yoga, which means union or integration. And Lord Krishna emphasizes the importance of being a karma yogi, a man of action, the path of selfless action and means to realize one's true nature and attain spiritual growth. So these 4 points are key to understanding that we lie here in state. Our physical body is going to go back to the elements. But the soul that we once had that inhabited this body is eternal in nature. The moment it leaves a physical body dies, soul moves on. And so we need to take comfort from this and understand that according to our work and deeds that performed here, our soul will be on its own journey. So dear friends, it is my humble duty to conduct the Antyesti Pratna. After this, we will adjourn to the crematorium where we will conduct the Antyesti Sanskar. Antyesti, Ant means end, and so at the end of our life, we perform a pratna, which we are going to do, a prayer now, dedicating the physical body back to the elements, and also at the same time, chanting the shlokas to bring comfort to each one of us. So let's bow our heads and be in a space of prayer. ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् त्वमादिदेवः पुरुषः पुराणस्त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् वेदासि वेद्यं च परं च धाम त्वया तथं विश्वमनन्तरूपा आसांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णन्य अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वं भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यशश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकाः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुताः जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्यु ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्माद्धा परिहार्येते न त्वं शोचितुम् अर्हसि अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्तामध्यानि भारत अव्यक्तानि धनन्येव तत्र का परिदेवनाः। हे परमात्मा, आप इस विश्व के उत्पादक देव हैं, आप ही इसके संचालक हैं, आप सर्वज्ञ हैं, आप हमारे ज्ञान ये योग्य हैं, आप इस संसार में व्यापक होकर अनंत रूप में प्रकट हो रहे हैं। जैसे मनुष्य अपने पत्ते पुराने कपड़े को उतार कर नए कपड़े को धारण करता है, वैसे ही यह आत्मा रोगी और अशक्त शरीर को छोड़कर नवीन शरीर को धारण करता है। आत्मा को कभी जन्म नहीं होता और न कभी इसकी मृत्यु होती है। यह अनादि और अमर है, यह सदा रहने वाला नित्य पुरातन और अजन्मा है। शरीर के नाश होने पर भी आत्मा को नाश नहीं होता। आत्मा को हथियार काट नहीं सकते, उस पे आग जला नहीं सकती, ना इसको पानी डूब सकता है, ना हवा सुखा सकती है। जिसके जन्म होता है उसकी मृत्यु भी अवश्य होती है, और जिसकी मृत्यु होती है उसके जन्म भी अवश्य होता है। इसलिए जो निश्चित होने वाला है उसके शोक मत करो। इस जीवन के प्रभाव में मनुष्य जन्म से पूर्वम अनजान रहता है, मृत्यु के बाद वह फिर अनजान बन जाता है। उसे हम सिर्फ इस जीवन काल में देख सकते हैं। मृत्यु इस जीवन प्रवाह का अनंत नहीं है, इसलिए इसके शोक मत करो। ॐ वेदहामेतं पुरुषं महान्तमा आदित्यवर्णं तमसः परस्तात् त्वमेवाविदित्वाति मृत्युमेति नान्यः पन्था विद्यते यनायः। ॐ य आत्मदा बलदा यस्य विश्व उपासते प्रशिशं यस्य देवः यस्य छायामृतं यस्य मृत्युः कस्मै देवा यः विशा विधेम। ॐ सूर्यं चक्षुर्गच्छतु वातमात्मादयं च गच्छ पृथिवीं च धर्मणा आपोऽवगच्छ यदि तत्र ते भीतमौषधीषु प्रतितिष्ठ शरीरे। ॐ शमग्ने पश्चात्तपाशं पुरस्ताचम् उत्तराचम् अद्धरातपेनाम् एकस्त्रेधा विहितो जातवेदः सम्यगेनं देहि सुकृतामुलोके। ॐ संघचस्व पितृभिः संयमेनेष्टपूर्तेन परमे व्योमान् हितवायवद्यं पुनरस्तामेहि संगच्छतां तन्व सुवर्चः। ॐ वायुरनिलामृतं तेधं भस्मान्तं शरीरम्। ॐ क्रतो स्मर किल्वे स्मर कृतं स्मर। ॐ एक एव सुहृद्धर्मो निधानेऽप्यनुयति यः शरीरेण सामं नाशं सर्वमान्यदि गच्छति। Almighty God, you are like the sun, untainted by darkness, and there is no other path to salvation and eternal bliss than by getting to know you. In this hour of distress, we need you. You alone can give us physical vigor and spiritual strength. Whose praises are sung by all enlightened persons, we offer our humble prayers and ask you to lessen the sorrow of this family. May all the components of this body be merged once again into the five elements of the universe, and may its vision be absorbed once again into the sun. May its breath go back into the atmosphere and its other senses into the appropriate element. And we say to you, Almighty God, you dispense justice even-handedly. You reward everyone justly. May the soul of this body find peace in every direction. You are the creator, you are the sustainer, and you are the dissolver. And may you give the soul a worthy abode. May the soul, by its austerity, its enlightenment, and good deeds, attain like its forebears a suitable state. May it be free from all blemishes and once again inherit an enlightened body. The soul is immortal. It is not made of the five elements. The physical body will be reduced to ashes and will be disposed of suitably. May we remember you, Almighty God, in every deed that we perform. All material links perish with the death of the body. It is only one's good deeds, and that is dharma, that remains with the soul after death. And may this dharma never be allowed to perish. Can we all chant the following shlokas together? Om Trayambakam Yejamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshyamamrita Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshyamamrita Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshyamamrita Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. We say to you, Almighty Padmatma, may you lead us from untruth to truth, and may you lead us from darkness to light, and may you lead this wonderful soul to immortal bliss. Dear friends, that concludes the Antyeshti Prarthana. As a family, and those that haven't viewed, you can do so now. Come through, and then we will now do final closure. Thereafter, we will conclude with Shantipan. Leave this way. Those that haven't viewed, you can come through now, and also the immediate family and pray the last respects. प्रभु तेरे द्वारे आया है आत्मा प्रभु तेरे द्वारे आया है आत्मा शांति दीजियो है परमात्मा शांति दीजियो है परमात्मा प्रभु तेरे द्वारे आया है आत्मा प्रभु तेरे द्वारे आया है आत्मा शांति दीजियो है परमात्मा शांति दीजियो है परमात्मा जन्म मरण के फेरे तालना जन्म मरण के फेरे तालना मुक्ति दीजियो है परमात्मा मुक्ति दीजियो है परमात्मा हम सब मिलकर करते हैं प्रार्थना हम सब मिलकर करते हैं प्रार्थना सद्गति दीजियो है परमात्मा सद्गति दीजियो है परमात्मा family and friends to please rise. We will now conclude with the Shanti part, the hymn of peace. And can we have the men in readiness to lead us out now? Om Deo Shantirantariksam Shanti Prithvi शान्तिराप शान्तिरोषधय शान्तिः वनस्पतय शान्तिर्विश्वे देवाः शान्तिर्ब्रह्म शान्तिः सर्वं शान्तिः शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सामा शान्तिरेधि ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः शरण शरण शांति का धाम
शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम ये ध्वनि मंगल ध्वनि है ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम ये मंत्र मन है ओम शांति ओम